So the last week out here in Colorado, it's just been negative temperatures and just snowy pretty much nonstop. So today, as you can see, it's sunny. There's still snow on the ground. I figured it was a perfect time to test the outdoor capabilities of the Einstar Vega. So let's go and do that. So before we get started on the scan, if you haven't checked out my previous video, go do that first. One thing in that video that I did hope for was that they added the UCS function in Star Vision, and they did just this last week come out with a version 1.3 software update. It did come out with a lot of cool features that I will link down below, but the big thing for me was they did add that UCS functionality in the Vega and also in Star Vision. So we will take these scans and then I'll kind of show that process as well. We are going to do two scans today. First one is going to be for my 2008 Tundra. I'm going to scan the whole frame rail. I never got the opportunity to do a flatbed on here, but I have the bed off of it. I figured it'd be a good platform to kind of test out the outdoor capabilities, see just kind of what I can get with the brackets and the bolts and stuff. And while I won't be doing a flatbed build on here, pretty much from here back will actually match the frame on my 2019 Tundra. So it should give me a good starting point if I want to kind of start doodling around in Fusion to do my Crew Max later on. And as I mentioned in the last video, I do want to scan the entire Tundra here. That way I have a good reference model when I'm doing like things like a camper or something like that. I kind of see the big picture of what's going on here. So for scanning anything outdoors with this, you do want to be in fast mode. So HD mode is more for indoors. All right, so like before, I am going to get the GoPro on. That way you can see what I see. Since I can't really do a screen recording, it's the best way. All right, so this one we're going to try at a medium resolution just because the working distance, I get a little further away. So we're going to try that just to capture a little bit more and just see how it looks. So we've got the medium features here. Acquired texture, feature alignment, texture alignment. That looks good. As I mentioned in my last video, I do like to start somewhere complicated. That way I have some kind of features to snap back to if it loses tracking. Go through this. Get the shock, a little bit of the tire here. Got the leaf springs. I'm going to switch this to data quality indicator when we cover an area good enough that it all goes green. And you could toggle them on, differently. Go to texture, go to data quality. You kind of swap between them if one mode's easier for you to see while scanning. So as you can see, it's picking all this up, getting a little far away. And this is no scanning spray. This is just literally walking outside and scanning the truck as is. Keep going around. Get the front leaf spring here. Go back over this stuff so it turns green. Alright, so we're going to pause this thing, kind of go back to the other side now. Okay, it tracked it, so let's keep going. Okay, that looks good. So now, one of the added features, if you're kind of in this mode here, now you can just continue back to your scan. So that's a new feature, 1.3, they changed that. There we go, let's get that left frame. And get all this gas tank here. I'm mostly concerned about those bed bolt locations. All right, so let's take a look at this. So we got the scan, most of the data. So, and I'm mostly concerned about the bolt locations for where the bed goes. So if this was for a flatbed build, I wanted the back of the cab. That way I can kind of see, okay, how high do I want it up against there? But then I have all the mounting locations in the top of the frame. So I'm not really worried about the side frame rails. I do have that top profile and the bolt locations, and that's pretty much where I'm looking for. I mean, I have the center of the tire. I think that'll be good, and I'll just do one quick little pass back over it, but I'm liking what that looks like so far. So I did turn up the exposure a little bit, and it seems to be tracking just a little better. So if you do have struggle with that, I would recommend playing with your exposure. So this is kind of the shadowy side of the frame, and it seems to be catching it a lot more than it was before. So that's just one little tip that you can do as you go through it. That sun's starting to set, so it gets a little harsh. But that seems to be tracking it way better by turning that up just one. All right, so now that we got the frame scan done, I'm going to show you how to align the UCS within the Vega. So that was the new feature I was talking about with the version 1.3. So you could do that all within the Vega now, as well as Star Vision, but we'll do that when we do the second scan. All right, so you're going to go into your model library here and select your model. And I've already meshed this just for speed of the video. And what I was talking about earlier, the only things I'm really looking for are these body mounts. There's 6 body mounts, then there's 2 and then 2. Basically the top of the frame rail, kind of the profile and some of the cross members is really all I was looking for, and just where that is in relation to the body. So this would be, if I was to design a flatbed, I would want those mounting holes. That way I can do my brackets and build off of there. So what we can do from here now, and one of the features they added is this little 3 arrow on the left. That is the UCS icon. So the user coordinate system. And you can see when you go into that, now it's kind of in this alignment. You have a front view, a right view, and a top view. And you can switch between each one and it'll make it in this active window. Then on the bottom down here, they have rotate, move, and zoom. So if we want to zoom in, it'll just zoom into where that point is, and we could zoom out. And then you could do move, and you can move that thing all around. And then rotate is just what you would think is rotate. So what I tend to do is I do like a rough rotation in each view, kind of getting it lined up. So we got the top view. So I want to make sure the truck's kind of rotated the correct way. And then go into the front view and rotate that down. And then the right view, kind of get the body in line, and we can now kind of get this closer and closer. So from the top view, what I want to probably do is take this spare tire bracket, because I know that's kind of a flat plane right there. I can get the UCS under there and use that as my reference. First thing we want to do is kind of rotate this thing around and fine tune it. So what we can do is move the UCS and find like a cross member that has a straight line. So like this one right here, I know it's going straight, so I can zoom in on that. And then grab one of those edges, do a rotate until that green line right there lines up with that cross member. And I'd say that's pretty good. So now we can move this UCS kind of where I'd want it, right there in the middle of that spare tire mount. Technically it would be there, because it does look like it's off center where the cable goes. So now we can go to the right view, and right here we can tell that we're high. So what we want to do is move it down, and we can zoom in now. And looks like we'll have to go from the other view and probably, yeah, let's go to the other view, the front, and you can see how it's, the truck's tilted upward. So we can use that plane right there that we know is pretty level. We can move this thing down and then rotate it so that cross member is fairly flat on that red line. Then go to the top view, we're in the same spot, kind of center on that hole. And then the same thing with that view. We'll zoom out on all these. Now everything is looking right. So we hit complete. All right, so we took that model, we rotated basically how we wanted the 0, 0, 0, the XYZ origin point to be whenever we bring it into a CAD program. So that way now every time you bring in that model, it's always in the same spot every single time. So I definitely recommend that if you're going to bring it into a CAD program. So it's just a good practice. With that being how you adjust the coordinate system in the Vega, we're going to now go scan the blue truck, and then we'll bring that into Star Vision, and we'll do the same thing of aligning the UCS. All right, so it's actually been a couple days since that last part of the video. Basically the day after we had more storms, so this is the first day that it got over 40 degrees. So now we're back outside going to scan the Tundra. One thing I am going to do, so because the doors are so big and it's kind of a repetitive shape, I'm going to throw on just some masking tape in different ways. That way it makes it a little easier to track. and that's just purely because the panel's so large. Once you get into these small areas, it's not a problem. It's just mostly the big area, the glass, everything like that. So I'm going to throw this on and then we'll get to scanning. All right, hopefully you can see it. It's kind of bright out. So hopefully you can see this on dark mode. We're going to actually just try the low resolution. Picks up a broader window here. So we'll try it with that and just see what the quality is. And if we need to, we can always do medium. Yeah, so low goes to 1500 millimeters. Medium, turn it up to 1000. We're going to try low and just see what that looks like. And then feature alignment, texture alignment, not marker alignment. We're going to start on the door here. You want to make sure your fingers don't block the sensors when you're doing this. You move too fast, it might lose tracking, so just stay slow and consistent. All right, I think I got most of the scanning done around. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of spots I did miss, just especially on the overlaps. The glass was giving me trouble just because of reflections, but I could have gone and just sprayed the perimeter with scanning spray. That would have helped. But I want to try to do this without any markers and just see what it's like outside. So with those mostly done, let's go inside the house and let's try to align these models together, and then I'll show you guys how to adjust the coordinate system in StarVision. All right, so for alignment, we're going to basically just do half the truck. Potential problem is as you scan more and more and go to align, especially when it needs to wrap around and connect to itself, you have a lot of room for error of little movements that can make a big movement at the end. So I'm actually just going to do half of it, because what I can do is then mirror the mesh just in Fusion as I work on it if I want to see both of them. That way I can ensure my scan doesn't move on me. So we're just going to do the driver's side, then we'll mess around with the coordinate system and get that aligned. All right, so we got the front here, and then we have the driver front mid. So I think we got enough that we can maybe grab here. Maybe we'll do the door right at that crease. And then we'll do the emblem and tape. So we got the crease, the emblem, and door, do alignment. That's looking pretty good. All right, and door seems to align at the top. All right. So we'll add that to the list. All right, so initial look. Yeah, it looks like I had a little bit of weird overlap on the door handle. So a lot of areas with this low resolution, I mean, you kind of see it's just bumpier compared to directly below it, it's real smooth. So sometimes what I would do just to kind of get features, I would turn the Vega up in the areas that were really far away. It didn't get great data from those. So that's kind of what that is right there in those areas. But I mean, where the scan is on the door, again, this is the low resolution on a big scan. So I mean, the body panels, it did good. Got even the hood. But if you just need something for a reference, I would say fast mode low does work. Obviously, the higher resolution you do, the better, but you run a risk of just a large model then at that point too. One thing I'll do is after this, I'll go scan in fast mode, but at a higher resolution, and then that way we can kind of see the true performance of what this thing can do. So I know this thing scans really good. I want to show you kind of the two, sides of fast mode, low resolution versus then like a high resolution. So I'm going to run outside, do that, and then we'll take a look at that scan. So I ran outside and I did 2 more scans, but this time I did it on fast mode high resolution. Just see the difference. So one was inside my fender well, and then another was just that rear frame of the Tundra, just a corner of it. So these scans took me about 5 minutes to go out and do. So we'll just kind of do a quick compare just to see what it looks like versus the fast mode low resolution. And just a data comparison, the file size for these scans I'm going to show are about the same on the larger side than the big body panels that I did. Just shows the data difference that it takes in. All right, so this is the frame section that I did, just trying to get some bolts in there and seeing what it looks like. And then I couldn't really get in just because of my tires. I couldn't really get into my wheel well. This is the first one I tried, and I realized that was just an access thing. If I was scanning it, I would take off the tire. Let's just see what both of these things look like once we mesh it. We'll do the highest resolution and preview. All right, so scan number one. Heck, you almost see threads on my shock there. So again, this was one that I didn't have too much access to, but I mean, you can already see that it's just quickly going over it. It's already showing more detail. So let's do the one that I actually had better access to. All right, and this is, oh, there we go. So bolt locations there. You can see the threads in the hole. So kind of just quickly going over this one. Yeah, you can definitely get more of the features. So fast mode on the high resolution will work good if you're trying to like build car components. You know, if you want to have something attached to what you are scanning, I would say it'll be pretty good and pretty spot on. So I'll give you locations. I do always, you know, if I was connecting to these 4 bolts here, I would still measure them exactly where they're at. I do that with pretty much anything that I'm going to bolt to where I'm scanning. I'll get physical dimensions, but the scan gets you pretty dang close. On the bumper I was working on, the scan that I did before, I drew them just per that, and then when I went out and measured them, they were exactly correct. Let's just take this model here since it has a lot of flat edges, and let's do the coordinate system. With this, we're going to assume that, you know, if I wanted to bring this into Fusion and just bring the model in and have it already orientated correctly, meaning the X and Y are straight, the Z is straight up. So now that they added Einstar Vision, so they added the tool to go through and align your XYZ. This looks almost the exact same as it does in the Vega. So you have your 3 views. So you just get your front here, got our right view. Okay, so mouse wheel will scroll in and out. If you just click, it will then rotate it about where that is. And if you push your middle mouse button, that'll let you pan around. You know, if I wanted to use these bolts right here, and then in our front view, you know, we can now zoom in here and raise that. And I think it needs to rotate a little bit. So yeah, it's real easy to rotate in. And you can get, I mean, real fine with this thing. So I get it right on the edge. Rotation's good. That looks like it's lined up with the bolts. The right view, it's actually, we want to tip this thing up a little bit. Drop it down. So now we're between the bolts. Between the bolts, we're from the front view. Looking good. Now, okay, we can hit finished. Now, if I hit the front view, you can see Z is going upwards. If I click on the top view, now we have our top view. And then if we hit the left view, which is more what I'm looking for, then we have an aligned left view here. So now if we were to go and export this as a STL file, got that exported, and now let's open up Fusion and just see how it comes in. All right, just like we did on the last video, if we go to our mesh and do insert mesh, we're gonna grab our frame and let's just hit OK. Let's just see where it brings it in. So if we hit our top view, yeah, it aligns it from the top. If we hit our left view, rotate down, yep, same exact thing. All right, and if we, let's see, if we turn on our plane or origins, so our default Fusion planes, you can see the coordinate is right there on the middle. So if I go to home, you can see now this top plane, say I want to draw on it, we can now draw directly on our component here. And I'm just doing a quick, so if I was just to do a quick extrusion on that, I mean, you could see draws it flat on your model. And that's typically how I do it with flat surfaces. I'll just do a plane or do a construction plane and I'll offset it off of there. But that gives you a really good starting point when you're doing CAD with your scans. All right, so that's just a quick video on the different fast mode qualities, the low resolution versus high resolution, and then my favorite feature, the coordinate system, being able to adjust it where you can bring it directly into Fusion and start working on it, start drawing on it, and it's always in the same location every time. So that was one of the biggest features I was hoping they would release on one of their updates, and they happened to do it right after. So if you like videos like this and you want to see upcoming projects like my seat delete on the Tundra I have coming up next, then make sure you subscribe. All right, see you on the next one.